Trying to learn from my past experience of filming on my phone and running out of space and having everything be deleted that I just filmed. So I've got a timer set in case we go over how much space I've got on my phone. Hello cinnamon buns! So today we're going to be doing some NaNoWriMo hacks. A lot of the stuff I've been doing for Preptober so far has been really sort of big scale. Here's how you outline a book, here's how you prep to write a whole book. This time I want to do some more like small tips and tricks and tweaks that you can do to try and streamline the whole process of NaNoWriMo. So let's get into it. So the first tip I have for you is to write in short bursts. And this is a combination of a tweet that I saw that has been going around on the Preptober Twitter for a while and a lot of people have been interested, and also just my experience of writing in 20-minute bursts for 5 days a week. You probably know already that every day of NaNoWriMo, to hit your word count, you need to write 1,667 words, so roughly 1,700 words. Someone suggested breaking this up into 500 words after breakfast, 500 words after lunch, and 700 words after dinner. Like I said, I've been warming up on the run-up to NaNoWriMo by writing for 20 minutes 5 days a week, and I usually find I can get up to 500 words in a 20-minute session. So really, when you break it up like that, it really seems a lot more manageable, and it's not like, oh, I'm gonna have to sit down for hours and write 1,700 words. So that's my first tip, and I would also recommend setting a timer for 20 minutes because that will get you at least a whole chunk of the way towards that 500 or 700 words, and then once you've finished, see how much you've got and then try and just catch up to however much you've got left. And that way, it shouldn't hopefully take you that long. Tip number 2 is to warm up. So the idea is to write or free write something that's novel related but not exactly the scene you're writing or you're meant to be writing right now. This is also a great way to combat blank page syndrome. So really the idea is to just take 5 minutes and free write whatever is coming into your head, even if it's just blah 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 blah. It can be about this scene you're about to write, it could be silly bits of dialogue, it could be you just complaining about how much you hate your characters, it could be a cozy wee description of a setting you want to use at some point, or a really dumb info dump. This is a really good way to get the ball rolling on a blank page, and if you use everything that you free wrote before you write, then you can go back and delete it, or you can go and stash it somewhere else if you think it's going to be useful for something else in your book. Getting your fingers moving like this is a really good way to get into writing when you're like, I don't know how this needs to start, I don't know where to start, I don't know where to start. Tip number 3 is to collect inspiration and texture. So for me personally, this means collecting people. I am writing a post-apocalyptic sort of zombie-ish book, which means that I need a lot of extras. So whenever I see someone on the street that I'm like, hey, I might want to use that person, or what they're wearing, or how they're walking, or I write it down. I have a whole document called Adopt a Tyrian where I get to the point where I need a new zombie thing in my book, and I'm like, okay, time to break out the orphanage? Last night we were driving home and it's autumn and all the leaves were just blowing all over the road and they're creating this little leaf blizzard, and I was like, I want to use that in a book. So I wrote it down in my notes and now I'm going to use it at some point. Maybe you're sitting in the window of a coffee shop. That's a really great place to people watch. Have one place where you keep all of that stuff, and preferably on your phone because you always have it, but you can always use a notebook as well. But you want it to be always with you so that you're ready to go at a moment's notice. Tip number 4 is one of my favourites, and I'm really excited to use it myself. Don't look at what you're writing. So this tip actually comes from a blog post which I'm going to link below and reference, because thank you, blog writer person, for this idea. Basically the idea is that looking back at what you've written, you automatically start to judge it, and that can really slow you down from keeping moving forward. So here's some ways you can do that. You can change your font to white or a really light grey, which makes it a bit harder to see. That way you can actually still see where you are though, which is good, but you maybe can't make out the exact words. You can make your font really small, make it like 0.4. You can put the brightness down on the screen of your laptop if you're writing on your laptop, or if you're really brave, you could turn off your computer monitor altogether. If for some reason you're a crazy person and you're writing longhand on paper instead of on your computer, you could have a piece of paper just covering what you just wrote. Tip number 5 is from Kristen Kiefer at She's Novel, and that is to collect inspiration. Not what I said earlier about collecting ideas, but collecting and making a little bank of things which actually inspire you and motivate you to write. So the idea is to have at least 2 things which always help you get out of a funk when you're writing and always make you feel, yeah, I could write something maybe at some point. So maybe that's a website like Pinterest where you can collect inspiration and cool images and weird quotes. Maybe that's rereading a part of your favourite books. Maybe it's going to the library and just wandering and touching the books and loving them. Changing where you write, maybe it's watching interviews with authors that you love, or reading weird non-fiction where you get to learn lots of weird things that you didn't know about before. One of my favourites is the books by Chuck Wendig on writing, Confessions of a Freelance Pen Monkey and Revenge of the Pen Monkey. He's just always super motivating and I like his chat and he spurs a lot, and yeah, they're divided into, it's like his blog posts, so they're really short and I like to read one of those. Always gets me pumped for writing. Tip number 6 is to use ambient noise to focus, and there's already been a video on this, so go and check it out. It's one of my favourite things and I've actually found it's really, really useful for switching my brain into like writing mode. So I use a rain noise, and I have one particular song which is kind of repetitive and acoustic and guitar-y and weird and sort of lonely and post-apocalyptic, and I just put that on loop and I pull down the volume so the rain and the thunder is more prominent, and that just gets me in the zone to write. It just like blocks out the world, and yeah, I totally recommend it. Go and check out that video if you haven't already. Tip number 7, and one that I just added right before I started shooting this video, and one that I'm really, really excited about, is to make your novel portable. So have a way to take it on your phone or on your tablet, or if you're handwriting it, I guess use a notebook. I just got the Scrivener app for iOS, so for my iPhone, and it took a little bit of setting up with Dropbox to sync it and stuff, but I really love it. It's so good. It's great to, I've never had my book like just there to be like, I'm on the bus, I can read my book, I can do stuff, I can write. It's great. Something else you could use is Google Docs. They have a really great mobile app, and even if you end up using Scrivener to edit and revise and stuff, you can definitely write the first draft in Google Docs, and that is great for syncing to multiple devices. I just really recommend this, like having it there. November is such a busy month for so many of us, and especially for me as well. You can write on the go, you can write anywhere, and you can also collect your notes and inspiration and little bits of description stuff that you want to use in there as well. It's really cool. I managed to actually write 300 words driving home last night in the passenger seat from like down south. So yeah, highly recommend, highly recommend. Cool, I'm really running out of time here, so I'm gonna just end it there. Thanks for joining me for some nano tips, and I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, like it, because that's always good and it helps me show YouTube that I'm actually not shit. As always, I'm Rachael Stephen, novelist, YouTuber, Woodland Hellbitch, and if you haven't subscribed already, do it because I love you. Please don't leave me, I miss you. Let me know if these tips work for you, or if you have tips of your own you would like to share with everyone else. Bye! Let's try that again. Where even was I? Ah! That's my Google timer saying that I don't have enough time. Yeah, she was scratching at the door and I was like, if you just went out to bark, then you can fuck off. But I opened the door and then she went and got her toy and came right back in. But now she's just gonna squeak it while I'm trying to film, so that's my favourite. Elfie! Ah! All resources, which you can make your... I'm just sniffing all over the place. Have one... That's 2, Rachel. Place it. I've still got this